Fall camp begins today, which means only one thing. The football season is right around the corner. We'll get you ready for fall camp and the start of the season right here today on Locked On Buckeyes.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Buckeyes, part of Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Thursday, August 4th in the year 2022, and I want to thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. On today's episode, we will discuss Devin Royal's commitment to Chris Holtmann's Ohio State Buckeyes basketball team, and Ryan Day and his wife put their money where their mouth is. But first, fall camp is here. Training camp, fall camp, whatever you want to call the series of practices leading up to the beginning of the season, those practices begin today. Ryan Day, CJ Stroud, Ronnie Hickman, all the Buckeyes are ready to embark upon what should be a special season. And there are a few things that go into fall camp and training camp. Some of them are surrounded by the players. Some of them are focused on the coaches. Some of them are just projecting an outlook about what is to come down the road. Over the next few weeks, I will be, coming up next week, I'll be going back and giving you my updated projected depth chart for the Ohio State Buckeyes. I did it earlier in the spring, kind of projecting things, going to kind of fine-tune things if I need to do so, which I do believe I will on the defensive side of the ball. I think my offensive projections for the Buckeye offense, I think those might still be the same, but I do believe there will be some changes, a couple alterations. The number's right there for you in regards to what's going to happen and what should happen for the Ohio State defense in 2022. But fall camp is fun, man. I remember my playing days when I played football. We had two-a-days. And let me tell you, buddy, that heat was intense. You out there, we had a 7 a.m. practice. I believe it was 7 to 9 or 7 to 9:30. Get a couple hours break, then get right back out there and get back into the heat, put them pads back on, and get back out there and sweat over and over and hit each other over and over and over. And that was a great way for us to get our bodies in check and get our bodies in better shape. That was on the heels of summer conditioning every Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. in the morning. But fall camp is fun, man. I mean, you're getting your body physically ready in a different way for the grind of a football season. You're hitting the same guys over and over and over. There might be fights, 2, 3, 4. You get frustrated because the person you're going up against every single day knows your every move. He knows your counters. You know his, he knows yours. You're constantly forcing each other to get better and try different things out because you know each other so well. So it's also a great time for you to really fine-tune some of the details for the offense and for the defense. A lot of the things that have been going on outside of spring practice, when you can't hit, when the amount of time that a coach can get some hands-on or one-on-one experience and coaching time with a player is limited. This time right here is exactly when you can fine-tune things and figure out what is going to happen. Now, Ryan Day said at Big Ten Media Days a week ago, 2 weeks ago, my timeline is all jacked up right now. But Ryan Day said that Ohio State will probably announce and figure out who the starting two linebackers will be during the first 2 weeks of fall camp. And so with that in mind, you might be thinking, Jay, now what about the offense? Will they figure things out with the tight end position? We talked about position battles yesterday. Will they figure out the receiver position? Who would that third receiver be? Yes, they should. Now, granted, after Notre Dame, there's an Arkansas State game, there's a Toledo game where you might see some different guys in there that more often than you will in the Notre Dame game, because that mindset for that game is literally do what is needed to win the game. That's it. That's the mindset. Ohio State has enough talent. Ohio State has good enough coaches. But even in that type of battle, you still have to do what is needed for you and the team to win the game. And so that's the mindset there. But in fall camp, you're going to start getting some things fine-tuned with the depth chart. Coaches are going to figure out things that are going to happen. There will be practices in the shoe. So coaches will figure out, Pierre Eliano, Tim Walton, who is going to be on the field, on the sidelines, who is going to be in the press box. I mean, these are the things we're going to be figuring out during fall camp. It's not just about the players. I mean, we put a lot of emphasis about the players and what they're doing in their practices and knowing the playbook, knowing the scheme, all this and that and the third, whatever it might be. This is also a preparation for the coaches as well. I remember last year I was on I did a radio hit on a radio station, Rip City Radio, over I believe in Portland, and they asked me, this is leading up to the Oregon game, and they asked me during week 1, how were the refs? And that was not a question I was expecting to answer, but the question was one, and I responded in this way. I remember it a year later. I responded, I said, well, this was game 1 for the refs too. And so you can't really put much stock. You can, but remember, the refs really don't have much of no preparation for a game in college. This isn't like the NBA or the NFL or Major League Baseball or even in college basketball where they have closed behind the door scrimmages. These refs don't have that in college football. Yes, there will be refs at practice that'll be doing certain things and getting their feet, getting their legs warmed up and getting used to running on the field again. But honestly, they don't have that ramp-up period. And so week 1 is not just week 1 for the coaches, the players. It's week 1 for the refs. And so this time period, you're going to get a lot of things kind of ironed out to hopefully make sure that week 1, you know exactly what you want to do with the offensive play calling, situational play calling, defensive play calling, situational, defensive play calling, things of that nature. But keep in mind, as I use that referee situation and instance, just kind of to remind everybody, these are last preparations for a game, and there's no other preparation outside of fall camp than that is it. There is no scrimmage, which I still think that there should be a scrimmage at some point in time. We might discuss that on tomorrow's show, why I think there should be a preseason scrimmage for football teams in college. Trust me, it's not a bad idea, and honestly, it'd be a money maker, good quick way to make a little bit more money. Fall camp begins today. The schedule is pretty intense if you might look at it. The Buckeyes practice today, tomorrow, and Saturday, have Sunday off, and then go 5 days straight from the 8th through the 13th, have the 14th off, the 15th through the 20th, have the 21st off, another 6 days straight of practice, and then another Sunday off, and then, the final game preparation for the regular season. But fall camp starts today. I'm excited. I hope you are too. You hope you are too. The players are, the coaches are, everybody should be, because this means one thing: the college football season is right around the corner. What's not right around the corner, which is what happened just a day ago, is Devin Royal. He committed to Ohio State. We'll tell you what it means for the Buckeyes 2023 recruiting class right here next on Locked on Buckeyes. If you haven't tried Built Bar Puffs yet, you are depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys. And guess what? There's a new flavor. Ready? Delicious, indulgent cookie dough covered in chocolate. That's right. Built has done it again. Let me introduce you to your new favorite cookie dough chunk puffs. Have a light and chewy texture, real cookie dough chunks, and of course they're covered in 100% real chocolate. All of the joys of eating cookie dough without the hassle of making it. Plus, it's healthy for you. Cookie dough puffs are only 160 calories, and they have a whopping 15 grams of protein in them. Run, yes, exactly, run to Built.com to snag a box for you and the family. It will be a perfect treat. Or you could find a really good hiding place and just hoard them for yourself. Go to Built.com and use your friendly promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your next order. Once again, go to Built.com. That is LOCKED15, and you will get 15% off your next order at Built.com. Devin Royal. The name might sound familiar for some of you that are in that live in this great state of Ohio. You might say, that name sounds familiar. Basketball player. There's a guy on the football team that played at Pickerington Central. I think I saw those two, Devin Royal possibly, and a Sonny Styles playing together on the basketball court. Well, you did, if you're thinking that's possibly true. Well, you did. Devin Royal, the former teammate of Sonny Styles, when Sonny Styles played the basketball at Pickerington Central in Pickerington, Ohio, just committed to Ohio State just a day ago. He is the number 2 ranked player out of the state of Ohio, and adding his commitment to the Buckeyes basketball team's 2023 recruiting class, Devin Royal is the 3rd top 5 player in the state to commit to the Ohio State University. Number 1, George Washington III. He is a shooting guard standing at 6'2", 165 pounds. Then Austin Parks, he's a center standing at 6'9", 240 pounds. Those are the guys that are currently the Buckeye commits in that class so far for the state of Ohio. Ohio State is towards the top of the board for Dalen Swain, a 6'6", 170-pound small forward, just like Devin Royal. He is the 3rd ranked player in the great state of Ohio in that recruiting class for 2023. He could be the 4th top 5 player in the state to commit to Ohio State. Swain has not made his decision about where he's going to play college basketball just yet. From Pickerington Central, 6'7", 210 pounds, the 73rd ranked player in the nation, according to 247 Sports composite rankings, Devin Royal can put the ball in the basket. He's the 14th ranked small forward in the class, and like we just mentioned, the 2nd ranked player from the great state of Ohio. Chris Holtmann has done some things here recently. He has upped the level of recruiting. He has made sure recruiting is a focus for Ohio State, and he has made sure that he is a coach that is able to tackle the players inside the state of Ohio. Now, you might say, Jay, why is there an emphasis from Chris Holtmann and from a coach in general about tackling your state and making sure the talent inside of your state primarily stays in your state, the top talent there? Now, I believe the 4th ranked player in this class, Yes, the 4th ranked player in this class of the state of Ohio is going to Indiana University. Mike Woodson got him up across state lines. So really, if you're getting 4 of the top 5 guys from your state, you're doing a good job. And Chris Holtmann knows you have to recruit your state. The coaches that are 5, 10, 15, 20 miles from you, they want to believe that if they have a recruit that is a top recruit in the state, that you're going to go after them, and you're going to go after them really, really hard. Devin Royal is that case. Devin Royal is someone that was recruited primarily by Jake Diebler, Ohio State assistant coach. Chris Holtmann had his hands in it. But when you have Ohio State alumni calling you and asking you what your thought process is and what is going on through your mind in regards to your decision to play college basketball and where your mind might be. Now, they're not saying you're going to go to Ohio State or the school that they went to, but ultimately they're just trying to, be a mouthpiece, be an extension of the school, and help you out, help the school out. And honestly, that's huge. If I am 15, 16, 17 years old and a Jashawn Tate or a Mike Conley or a Greg Oden, who was not at Ohio State currently on the coaching staff, if they were to call me and say, hey, man, how was that recruiting process, man? What's going on? Like, how you doing? I got your number from so-and-so, and how you doing? That's going to be huge for a recruit, man. I mean, that's going to be huge. They're already watching these guys that I just mentioned, D'Angelo Russell being another one. They're already watching these guys play basketball at the next level. Or if you're Greg Oden, in that case, he is watching you, and a recruit's watching you coach and do things at the next level. And they're saying, maybe, just maybe, that school might be right for me. I mean, you never know, but I do know Devin Royal. I saw an article what I was reading about him. His dad said this was a stressful process, and he's kind of glad that it's over. Devin Royal had some interesting comments about committing to Ohio State and what it means to him. And I think when you hear what he said after I read these quotes, you will get more acquainted with and maybe more excited about Devin Royal's future about being a Buckeye. Quote, I think it will mean a lot just to leave a legacy behind. Coming from high school to college, still being home, I feel like it will mean a lot for everyone in the community. Family close to home, they can come to my home games and everything, friends and family. So it means a lot for me, end quote. Devin Royal goes on to say some more things about this, and he highlights some of the relationships that he's made along the way with the coaches at Ohio State. Quote, I'd probably say relationships are most important. The relationship with the coaches who gave me the most love supported me throughout my journey. I just got a better relationship with the head coach, assistant coach, players, just everybody on the team. It's a great relationship with Holtmann. I built it with him for a while. He's been recruiting me for a while, supporting me. He comes to my games, stuff like that. So it's a great relationship with him, end quote. I can tell you off firsthand, when I hear recruits say Chris Holtmann's going to my games, when I see Chris Holtmann's doing this, Chris Holtmann's doing that, I have physically seen with my own two eyes Chris Holtmann at numerous high school games that were not in the state of Ohio while he's been Ohio State's basketball coach. Which, I mean, if you're going across state lines to go to another school to watch recruits play, there's a good chance you're going to watch recruits in your home state that aren't really far from where you might live play the football. So I have seen Chris Holtmann in Indiana for 6, 7, 8 years recruiting guys at different showcase events and different one-day shootout style events. Chris Holtmann is not a guy that's going to be shying away from going to see you himself, not sending an assistant there, going to see you himself while you play the basketball. Devin Royal becomes the third commit from this class of 2023 that is not only from the state of Ohio. The only commits, hard commits, verbal commits that Ohio State currently has are from the state of Ohio. That is it. So will Chris Holtmann only try to get guys in the state? I would not advise that. I would advise you going outside state lines, crossing the border a time or two to go ahead and get more talent to your school, to Ohio State, so you can be the best basketball team you can be. But if your only focus is what's going on inside the state of Ohio, inside that border, well, you got 3 of the top 5 guys in this that are in the state currently. Two of them are top 100 recruits. The other one is number 106. You're doing a pretty good job, but you can do better. You can absolutely do better. Go outside of state lines, get some more top talent, bring them back to Columbus, and see how much winning this team can do. Devin Royal's commitment, excited he's at Ohio State. Can't wait to see him wear that scarlet and gray uniform, and I can't wait to see what this basketball team does this year. Trust me, we'll talk more about the basketball team in a few months leading up to basketball season, but I could not gloss over this commitment from Devin Royal that came just a day ago. We all want people to put their money where their mouth is. Well, Ryan Day and Christina Day did just that a day ago with a huge donation to an agency that is devoted to mental health research. Who is it? What did they do? How much money? We'll discuss that next right here on Locked on Buckeyes. I want to encourage every person out there to go check out the latest episode of the Jay Stevens podcast. Myself and Jeff Hunt did a little looking back 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago on the calendar, to Ohio State's 2002 BCS National Championship win as they beat the Miami Hurricanes in the 03 Fiesta Bowl. We went back and looked at depth charts. We went back and looked at rosters, looked at stats, talked about guys like Mike Doss, Dustin Fox, Maurice Claret, Matt Wilhelm. You'll want to go out and check that episode. We get pretty in-depth, pretty deep. You can tell some of the emotions from that game still ring true, and we can still feel them 20 years later. Go out and check that episode out on the Jay Stevens podcast. You can find it Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the Odyssey app, or wherever you get your fine podcast. So one of the best things I like about Ryan Day and his wife is that they are not shying away from some pretty serious topics. No matter if it's mental health or other things going on in America, in our lives, they are not shying away from being two individuals that are not going to talk about certain things. They're not going to talk about certain hot button topics, not so much saying there are things that they won't talk about publicly or they just haven't. We all know Ryan Day and his wife had to talk about certain things. When you look at those two individuals, they are not shying away from talking about and discussing some really, really important things in life. Who was one person that Harry Miller went to when he was having his bouts and struggles with his own mental health? Ryan Day. Who was one person that was quickly to support and help Harry Miller in this attempt to help him not battle these same demons that he had been battling for so long. Ryan Day. Would Ryan Day be that guy without his wife? Possibly, but it's always helpful when you have someone that is your spouse who can support you and backs you 100% in these endeavors to not only coach the football, but to simply help the young men that you have coached and formed great relationships with. Ryan Day and his wife donated $1 million to launch the Mental Health Resilience Fund at the Ohio State Medical Center. Ryan Day and his wife, they're not shying away from it. This is not the first time they have gone out and helped people with these types of, or just in any physical or mental issue or element that they have. It's not the first time that they have not donated or started a fund in this way. This fund, the Nina and Ryan Day Resilience Fund, will benefit the medical center's Department of Psychiatric and Behavioral Health to help fund mental health research. As someone that has dealt with my own battles with my own mental health, which I really haven't really shared with or talked about much here on the podcast, if ever, I know how important it is for someone to be there, to be in your corner, to know that if you struggle or if you have any issues, there is somebody there, with you to help you along the way, to help you figure things out, to help you not so much figure things out, but just slowly at the pace that is needed to help you and to help get you back on your feet, help get you out of those own mental struggles and the mental battles that you have had. I understand what it's like. But for me to see that the coach of the Buckeyes is putting his money where his mouth is, and not only him, but his wife, and their names are on the fund. And so it's not just them saying it and then hiding behind. They are not shying away from this massive donation. Even had a press conference the day before fall camp starts to discuss this very thing. Ryan Day, man, I've already loved what Ryan Day has done as a football coach. I have been very critical of him at times when, of course, you would want somebody to be critical of the Ohio State Buckeyes football coach. But when it comes to real life stuff, man, like your boy could talk football, talk ball all day. But sometimes you need to put a pause and take a timeout and just reflect a little bit about what we are doing, what we have done, what we can do, and not so much looking forward to what we can do. And Ryan Day, he keeps doing it, being someone that is right there at the forefront to help people in the mental health space. There are things about Ryan Day that many people might not know, and I recently read an article about him, or briefly read one, where it said Ryan Day lost his dad at the age of 9. Dad committed suicide. And so if you're thinking for a 9-year-old boy, you have your own things that you have gone through. You have your own things you have dealt with. And some people, I mean, they're not just cut out to help people. They're just not cut out to assist people in that way. But Ryan Day is not shying away from that at all. Ryan Day realizes, I was in these people's shoes at one point. I was who they are. Or I was battling some things they're currently battling. The least I can do with the money that I have been fortunate and blessed to make and have from coaching. I mean, goodness, he just signed a $9.5 or $9.25 million extension per year. I mean, his salary is stupid, man. Like, his salary is insane. Of course, there's going to be incentives, Big Ten championship game appearance, maybe win, playoff berth. There's another bonus there. Win the national championship. There's another bonus there. He has been blessed and fortunate to be able to have the money and the funds that he currently has in his bank account. And I love it. He realizes this ain't all about me. This is not all about what I am doing or my family is doing or me just being the coach at Ohio State. This is about more than me. This is about more than the people that I am coaching every single day. This is more than about the families and the parents that I am focusing and trying to help and lead these young men. This is about more than just those endeavors. This is about some stuff that's bigger than life. And for Ryan Day and his wife to not only put their names on this fund, the Nina and Ryan Day Resilience Fund, but to also donate $1 million at the same time, putting your money where your mouth is, that's huge. That's amazing. And I love that part about this whole story. Not just the fund, but they're putting their money where their mouth is. I love it. Excited for the future. Excited for what Ryan Day and his wife are doing with this fund and to help people in the mental health space. And I am really happy. Like, I am glad that Ryan Day is the coach at The Ohio State University, not just because of the things that he has done on the field as a coach, but the endeavors that he is doing, not just in his own actions, but also monetarily off the field as well. Out here for this day. Very excited for fall camp. Excited for Devin Royal. Excited for Ryan Day and the fund. Oh yeah, tomorrow's show. We're probably gonna have 2 shows tomorrow. We might get a lot of that over the next few weeks as fall camp is really big. We're not going to stop our endeavors and our drafts that we're having here on the podcast tomorrow. One of the shows will be us drafting the best Ohio State linebackers over the past 20 years, dating back to the 02 season. Trust me, you want to be here for that. And then, of course, a little fall camp update, recap, all of that good stuff coming at you as well. You can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. You can also send all of your emails to jstevens317 at gmail.com. Make sure to check out the Locked On Big Ten podcast. It's available every single Monday through Friday on the Odyssey app, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your fine podcasts, as well as on YouTube. The Locked On Big Ten host, Nate Dickinson, takes you around the Big Ten with a local expert in 30 minutes every single day. Check out Locked On Buckeyes, just like Locked On Big Ten. They're both free. Yes, that is right. Free, that spells free every single day for you to enjoy. Audio, podcast app of your choosing. It also on the YouTube. Out of here on this Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow with possibly 2 shows. A lot to talk about, and you'll hear it all right here tomorrow on Locked On Buckeyes.